From machine operators to welders and engineers, male employees have typically packed manufacturing jobs.
At Marlin, on the factory floor, it's almost 100%.
But the future of the traditional manufacturing workforce is somewhat fragile as less men are working.
It's a huge concern that we cannot hire the amount of talent we need to hire to grow.
Drew Greenblatt has been running Marlin Steel Wire Products in Baltimore since 1998. Coupled with post-pandemic hiring challenges, he says filling jobs these days is an obstacle unlike any other he's been dealt before.
It's completely different. 20 years ago, we could put a posting out and have the job filled in a day or 3.
Now, Greenblatt relies on the help of temp agencies at a cost. And he adds, the financial strain doesn't end there.
We could accept more work and grow faster and make the company healthier if we had more talent.
Over the past 50 years, the labor force participation rate, a measure of how many people are working or are actively seeking employment, has fallen among men aged 25 to 54 years old. Automation, government benefits, and even video games are commonly blamed as culprits. But there's one economist who doesn't find any of those theories very compelling.
Men who are struggling with health, either mental or physical, are much more likely to be out of the labor market, regardless of their other characteristics.
Gallup economist Jonathan Rothwell says a decline in health among men in their prime working years offers the best explanation. He points to CDC data showing men aged 25 to 54 are increasingly health impaired, both physically and mentally. It's not yet clear what's causing this trend, but Rothwell has an idea.
Men who are in this prime age category who say they have experienced what the literature called ACEs, these adverse childhood experiences, are just much less likely to be working.
He believes the male participation rate will keep falling due to ACEs, everything from childhood abuse to neglect, which can have long-term consequences, including on a person's capability to work.
The forces dragging it down that come through family relationships and growing up in households that are experiencing difficult circumstances. I think, unfortunately, that's going to continue over the next decade.
A lack of clear cause makes finding a workforce solution difficult. There's also no consensus on what the ideal participation rate is for men or women. But assuming it continues to decline, certain industries, like manufacturing, will continue to hang in the balance. Now, I quickly want to mention the labor force participation rate among working-age women here. If you take a look at how that has changed over the past 50 to 100 years and compare it to the male labor force participation rate among working-aged men, it's completely different, mainly because over that time we saw more women enter the workforce. And if you were to compare the graphs, they would just look completely opposite, with the exception of the past few decades, where we see that the data has sort of stabilized for women. I also want to emphasize that the labor force participation rate among women, working-age women that is, ages 25 to 54, is lower than that of men's, but they still have not seen as much of an impact, mainly through health, as we have seen among the male labor force participation rate. So something interesting when you compare the data.